Hey everyone, me Kevin here. We have an update directly from Donald Trump, and it comes on the day that we officially have 181,000 cases, up 76% on our 14-day trajectory, with deaths at 1,389, up 34% on our 14-day trajectory for COVID. Let's talk about the update directly from Donald Trump on stimulus. Quick note though, many of you have been asking, can you still email me for a bundle coupon for the money, wealth, stocks, and real estate programs linked down below, or even the YouTube course? The answer is yes. My email is kevin@meetkevin.com, and you can email me asking for a bundle coupon. Just a heads up, it's just me, so I'm a little slow. I will be trying to catch up to everything today, though. All right, first, let's talk about Donald Trump. Donald Trump has frequently said before the election that if he wins, he will send a larger stimulus package to everyone immediately after he wins. He has also frequently stated, before the election was even close, that he supports sending larger stimulus checks than even the Democrats do. Now, none of this ended up officially materializing, but it did come up in negotiations. In fact, in negotiations between Republicans and Democrats, Democrats wanted multiple child tax credits and employee retention credits, and Republicans didn't want as many of these credits. So instead, Republicans said, why don't we just give larger stimulus checks? Instead of $500 to anyone 17 and younger, let's just send $1,000 to those specific dependents. So that's really the only place we saw larger stimulus checks ever materialize, but again, that was only in negotiations, and that didn't actually happen. He also said that he supports, larger packages overall than Republicans do. But again, he's kind of hamstrung because, well, he is a Republican. That's the party he's part of. And so instead, what he's done is he's branded what Democrats want as a blue state bailout. This is because what Democrats want is $417 billion in aid for state and local governments. Republicans want to spend no more than $300 billion because Republicans did their estimates, they did their number crunching, and they feel that state and local governments are only in the hole by $300 billion for COVID-related expenses. And they're willing to pay those expenses, but because Democrats want an extra $117 billion for funding that might be needed going forward, Republicans say, yeah, no, not interested. And instead, that has now been bailed out, or sort of labeled as a blue state bailout. Oh, California, oh, New York, they want to bail out their pension systems. Obviously, that could all be cleaned up with language. Instead, it's really just being used as a way to gain leverage over Democrats by rebranding Democrats as socialist Democrats and wanting to get blue state bailouts. That's just a negotiating tactic. So now you kind of know a little bit of the background. But now, while the election is still contested, the election day is over, and we can look at things that happened after election day. And one of those things was, well, what was said today, which we'll talk about in just a moment, but also what Stephen Moore said. Stephen Moore, a personal advisor to Donald Trump, has told reporters that he does not see another stimulus package coming under a Donald Trump administration because Trump won't want to leave office with the last thing he does being adding a couple $1 trillion to the national debt. Now, instead, they're suggesting, that should be a Biden plan. Let Biden take on the responsibility of that debt. So what did Donald Trump say about stimulus, and what does it mean for us? Well, let's pull it up. Donald Trump just tweeted, Congress must now do a COVID relief bill. Needs Democrats' support. Make it big and focused. Get it done. All right, so what does this mean? Well, let's put the pieces of the puzzle together. So, obviously, we all know we need a stimulus package, but what does he mean when he says needs Democrat support? Well, in order to get a bill through the Senate, we need 60 votes. Republicans have 53 votes. They need support from at least 7 of members of the other side to get this bill past the Republican-controlled Senate, because they don't have a supermajority. And unless they have 60 votes, they're not going to be able to pass a COVID relief bill. This is why Donald Trump is saying needs Democrats' support. But we don't really have a bill in the Senate right now. We only know about the HEROES Act that was passed in the House. True. But yesterday, Marco Rubio gave us some insights. He said that Republicans, under the leadership of Mitch McConnell, expect to pass a narrowly focused bill next week, or at least hold a vote on one. And Mitch McConnell has said that he's going to bring up a bill that he's brought up before. Now, he did not say it was going to be a skinny bill. And current estimates are that the bill is going to be somewhere around $1 to $1.1 trillion, which if we go back to about August 8th, we'll find that, we have exactly that bill. It's called the HEALS Act. This is different from the $500 or $600 billion skinny bill. I don't believe we're going to see them bring up the skinny bill again. Instead, it's the HEALS Act that's going to come up again. All the pieces line up. Mitch McConnell says $1 to $1.1 trillion. That's the size of the HEALS Act. Marco Rubio says we need funding for the PPP and we need something targeted. Well, the HEALS Act does that. The HEALS Act also provides stimulus checks. And Donald Trump says we need Democrats' support and we need to do a COVID relief bill now, which makes sense because it lines up. The Senate needs some Democrats to support this bill to get this focused but larger bill done. It's larger than the skinny bill, which checks off the box of what Trump said. And it's also something that needs Democrat support, but it's also focused. So it's more narrow than obviously the overly kind of all-encompassing HEROES Act. So everything points to the HEALS Act. So what's in the HEALS Act? Well, here's a brief overview of exactly what's in the HEALS Act. $300 in unemployment checks, liability protections, $105 billion for schools, including $10 billion for private schools, $65 to $70 billion for public schools, $25 to $30 billion for colleges. Both sides agree on stimulus checks. The HEALS Act would provide $1,200 stimulus checks to the same folks as last time, with $500 checks to dependents of all ages, no age limit. So all dependents would receive the $500. No retroactive checks in there, though. VA, SSI, Social Security, SSDI, and railroad retirement recipients would be eligible. $0 for those with ITIN numbers. No garnishments if you owe debt or a bank is trying to garnish money from you. However, child support payments would still have this, if you owe child support, your stimulus check would still get redirected to the person who is the recipient of the child support money that you owe. This is the HEALS Act. There are many versions of different bills out there that say different things, but the HEALS Act says there is still garnishment for those with child support. Same kind of qualifications as last time. The employee retention credits in here, work opportunity tax credit. Gig workers can get aid from companies and still be considered 1099 workers. This is good for like Airbnb, Lyft, Uber, Amazon, delivery workers. PPP round 2, write-offs for self-employed or businesses for PPE expenses. Honestly, I feel like businesses are writing that stuff off anyway. 100% deduction for meals instead of the 50% under current law. No mention of entertainment. A new SBA type of loan. That's different from an EIDL grant. Just a new loan for specific individuals. Mortgage forbearance. I just put this note in here. This is not actually part of the bill, but mortgage forbearance, you're still eligible to get mortgage forbearance until 4 months after the pandemic ends. And the pandemic has not ended yet. FBI building money is in here, so it kind of may be another indication that Trump would be a proponent of the HEALS Act here. USPS, $10 billion as a loan. Democrats wanted a $25 billion grant, but it looks like so far they did lend them $10 billion already. But the HEALS Act might provide some additional funding, which could be interesting for those of you who are really gung-ho about seeing what happens with workhorse stock in that USPS contract. So that's sort of the update as to what's going on. So at this point, you want to make sure to get your life insurance in as little as 5 minutes. You want to make sure to check out those programs in the link down below and the life insurance, and of course get 3 free stocks with Webull. All of these things in the links down below. We've got some good updates here. Overall, it looks like everything is pointing to a potential vote on the HEALS Act next week. Will Democrats go for it? At this point, everything is possible, but it's also pretty much up in the air. Will Nancy Pelosi bend and finally take a deal, despite the fact that she said no to a $1.9 trillion offer, a few weeks ago? Will she say yes to a $1.1 trillion offer? Or is this tweet just an attempt for Donald Trump to pressure Democrats to make something happen, and nothing's gonna happen anyway? Will McConnell end up getting nothing done in this lame duck session? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.